Would I be the arsehole for not wanting to add my half-sister to the deed of a property after my mum's death? My mom passed away in April without a will, and I'm currently going through probate to transfer my parents' properties. I plan to sell the church house and keep the one where my half-sister is living. I am my mom's only child, and my half-sister is on my dad's side, who passed away in 2020. My half-sister has been living at the second property for almost 20 years, paying rent to my dad and then to my mom since my mom let me handle rent collection. A little over a week after my mom's funeral, she approached me and said, "I'd like to be added to the deed after the mortgage is paid off." I was stunned by the request and didn't know what to say, so I told her I would ask the lawyer about it. I can understand her perspective, as paying rent for 20 years without having property in your name can be frustrating. She might also be worried about me raising the rent. She currently pays $875 in Los Angeles. The mortgage is $500, but the market rate on Zillow is $2,000. However, I have several reasons for not wanting to add her to the deed. 1. My dad used to complain to me about how she took advantage of his kindness by not paying the rent in full by the 1st of every month, half on the 1st and half on the 15th, causing him to make up the shortfall himself until the middle of the month. Sometimes she'd skip a month of rent to go on vacation. 2. While sick with cancer, my dad advised me not to let people take advantage of me, especially if they're family, as it was one of his biggest regrets. 3. She lied to me about the reason my dad raised the rent, claiming it was so he would take over repairs because she was doing them herself with the lower rent. I remember accompanying my dad when he made repairs himself as a kid, so this is obviously not true. 4. Her request to be added to the deed after the mortgage is paid off seems unfair, as it implies she wants the benefits of home ownership without the debt involved if I decided to keep the mortgage. Once probate is finished and title is transferred to your name, do a transfer on death deed, so therefore once everything is in your name, whoever you pass it on to, it avoids probate since it's available in California, and it avoids probate altogether. This way she can't contest it after you pass. Follow your parents' wishes, otherwise they would have provided for her, and realize that this is your legacy, so focus on what you're providing for your economic benefit since she's worrying about hers and not yours. Not the arsehole, and don't put her name on anything. If she wanted to own a home after paying rent for 20 years, then she should have actually bought a home. You are not obligated to her in any way, so listen to your dad. He sounded like a very wise man. Sorry about the loss of both your parents. Perhaps you could offer to sell her the house at market value or just below so she can stay there. If she can't afford it, that is not your concern. She sounds entitled for asking for her name to be put on the deed after it is paid off. In my opinion, if she has not been good to you and a positive influence in your life, you do not owe her anything. You can be generous and give her a long time to move out. If the houses were joint assets of your parents and bought by both of them, your sister is inheriting nothing just because your father passed away first. She's not entitled to an inheritance, but I can see why she'd think she'd get a share of her dad's assets now they're passing down to the next generation. Not the arsehole because you're following the process of your mom dying without a will, but unless you know your dad didn't want her to inherit, the fair thing to do would be to give her half of her dad's assets that are left. Not the arsehole. There's a reason everything was left to you. If he wanted her to have the house, he would have said so. Not the arsehole. She didn't spend 20 years building equity. She spent 20 years paying rent, and low rent at that. Unless her father's on the deed to the house, it's your house now. Not the arsehole, but create a new lease with a lawyer, not just the internet. And asking to be on the deed after the mortgage is paid is pretty cheeky. But I'd make it clear it's a no, so there's no ambiguity. If your mum wanted her to have part of it, she'd have done something about it the last 20 years. Please draft a will if you don't have one, not because of this situation, but I think everyone should have one. People, please spend the money and get a will drawn up. Why did neither of these parents do this? Now it's just a mess of he said. Very irresponsible, especially with blended families. My husband and I married after we had our children in previous marriages. He has 2, I have 1. Our will states and will state, after the last one of us passes our estate divides 3 ways equally. My son will not get more because he is only 1. Hoping the way we have it written will save a lot of hassle. Pertinent word, hoping. Money can bring out evil in many. Not the asshole. Don't gift the house or half to this person. She's entitled AF. Honestly, she's been living at a significantly reduced rate for 20 years it seems. She isn't owed a house because she paid a bit of rent. If you wanna be gentle, give her 6 or 12 months of notice that the rate will increase to something like market value and to be paid on the 1st every month unless you want to sell. I'm assuming that your dad died intestate and so his whole estate passed to his then wife, and then down to you. Morally you're the asshole. Unless the house was only your mum's, then it is as much her inheritance as it is yours. Her request to be added to the deed after the mortgage is paid off seems unfair, as it implies she wants the benefits of home ownership without the debt involved if I decided to keep the mortgage. Except she's paying more than the mortgage in rent right now, right? Assuming I'm understanding your post correctly, if your parents had died in reverse order, mom first, then dad, your half-sister automatically would have gotten half, right? Assuming I'm not missing anything, I'm going with you're the asshole, though not strongly so. Info: was the house a marital asset, or was it your mom's or dad's before they got married? If it was a marital asset or originally your dad's, then yes, you're the asshole. Your stepsister got disinherited simply because your dad died first. Also, your parents RIP kinda suck for having substantial assets and doing no estate planning. Your several reasons are weak and reek of post hoc justification for a decision you've already made. You're the asshole. You're charging your sister almost double the mortgage in rent which she's been paying for 20 years. How was she taking advantage of anyone? And what's unfair is getting a mortgage paid off by your sister. If you're so worried about the debt she's been paying off, transfer it to her now. Also, don't trust Zillow rates, they're often inflated since they have a stake in keeping property prices high. Depending on the rest of the estate, maybe you're the asshole. I'm not sure where I understand where it is more yours than hers, except your mom lived longer. Is this what your mom would want? My God, your sister has literally paid the mortgage on the property for 20 years. She's not some rando tenant. You're the asshole. It's what people are saying. You've gotten hundreds and thousands in assets from your parents and you're not willing to share any of it with your sister? I mean, what the hell? The other comments here are eye-opening. People are more nasty and selfish than I ever would have imagined. If the home belonged to your dad, who was also her dad, why would she not be entitled to half once your parents died? I assume you think all her dad's stuff went to your mom when he died. So now that your mom died, you are entitled to all their shared assets while your sister gets nothing. You're the asshole. If there is no will, she has a good chance to fight you on this if she gets a lawyer. Why should you get everything just because your dad died before your mom? You're the asshole. Both of your parents have died. Sorry about that, but your half-sister inherited nothing because neither of your parents had a will. She has been paying the mortgage and repairs this whole time on a house. I think that you should give her the house. Ideally you would have split all of the properties fairly across all of the kids, so you are TA for not doing that. However, the sister has actually been financially contributing to the property, which nobody else has. So frankly, I am unsure why you or any of the siblings think they should profit from it.